Hello there, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Love Machine podcast with me, James Preece. Now, today we're going to be diving into a topic that so many singles struggle with: manifesting the relationship they actually want. Now, we've all heard people say, just think positive and love will find you. But what if there was a proven formula that actually works? And did you know that nearly 73% of singles believe they'll never find their ideal partner, simply because they don't know how to change their mindset or their patterns? So my guest today is someone who's turned adversity into empowerment. Railey Molinario, the founder of RI, Relationship Intelligence, is a powerhouse in the world of human connections. Abandoned at birth and raised in a cycle of abuse, she transformed her story into one of success, building a global coaching brand that's helped thousands to create thriving relationships in and out of the bedroom. And together, we're going to uncover the exact steps you can take to finally manifest the love you deserve with clarity, confidence, and science-backed strategies. This is all about shifting from why not me to here's how to make it happen. So get ready. This could be the episode that changes everything. Riley, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. It's a very, very busy time. It's summer, but do you know what? The sun is shining. What more do you want in life? I would say to that.
Yeah,
Now,
it's been a great summer. It's been a
it
great summer.
really has. Now, you travel all over the place, don't you? You
I
are in
do.
lots of different places, but where are you at the moment?
I'm in England, so it's
Yeah.
finally raining, I have to say. It's been a beautiful, beautiful summer. And for once, I'm actually inviting the rain because my garden is suffering.
Ah, good, very, very valid point, I would say to that. My wife is always looking after the garden. A little bit of rain helps. We need a bit more nurturing in life, don't we? So,
Absolutely.
what a great way to step into my first question. Now, you talk about how that you were abandoned at birth and you had a really difficult childhood. Can you tell me quickly about that? Because I always focus on the positive side of things. How did you turn that around to become a global business?
Absolutely. So I was abandoned when I was born. I then lived with my mother and my stepfather in this very abusive household. There was a lot of neglect and physical and emotional abuse. And I ended up leaving home when I was 16. I set out on my own journey to try to create a life for myself. But when I left, I didn't have the ability to really understand the trauma that I went through.
Yeah.
This is a long time ago, so we didn't have the terminology of mental health and childhood wounds and sort of the language to identify the experience that I had.
Mm.
And so I left that environment, but I brought with me anxiety and depression. I had an eating disorder. I was labeled as gifted when I was younger. So I was academically advanced. And leaving home at 16, I was able to get what we call street smarts. So I had the book smarts and the street smarts, but I was absolutely miserable. On paper, I had everything. I had the house, I had the car, I was studying 2 degrees at university. I had all the things that I was supposed to have to make me happy. But deep down, I was suffering. I didn't have a good relationship with myself. I didn't have good relationships with other people. And it got to the point where I decided one day that I was going to take my life. And in that moment, I asked myself, do I actually want to die or do I want the suffering to end? And I realized that if I could create something beautiful for myself, then that's something I did want to participate in. So I realized that society had set me up for failure. I had the book smarts, I had the street smarts, but this other type of intelligence, which is what is referred to as relationship intelligence, was even more important than those things. How can I connect with myself? How can I connect with others and create this incredible experience for myself? So I set out on that journey to really heal everything that I went through. I learned how to build beautiful relationships with other people. And I realized along the journey that I wasn't the only one, that there were so many people suffering that, maybe they had the wife and the kids and the house and the job, but they were miserable inside. And so I had to share this information with other people.
Amazing. So you turned your life around for a more positive way, and now you help others do the same thing with
Absolutely.
your relationship intelligence that you do. And now that's your brand, isn't it? That you do. So what does that involve exactly? What's the starting points?
Relationship intelligence is the ability to navigate our relationships successfully. So, we're talking about the relationships with ourselves and others. How do we use relationships to create thriving businesses, thriving relationships, personal relationships? Everything is based on the quality of our relationships. There's been Harvard studies done recently to really show the impact of what impact does fame and money have on our life, and what impact does it have on our happiness, and what impact do relationships have. And everyone is looking to make more money. They're looking to have better jobs. They're looking to be successful entrepreneurs. We want to be famous. We glorify Hollywood. But we've done the studies, and the studies show that the quality of our life truly is dependent on the quality of our relationships. So, as much fame and money as we want to have, which, go out there and get as much as you want, there's nothing wrong with that. But the
Mhm.
quality of our relationships is truly the defining factor of the quality of our life.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. Because if we haven't got that, then what is the point? What is the point? You can always going to be lonely, always going to be wondering what more there is in life. So absolutely, the relationships you've got, you don't need to be rich, you don't need to be a superstar, but that is the absolutely foundation to it all. And you found your own partner this way as well, didn't you?
I did. I did. So my husband and I met during the pandemic. We were both
Yeah.
single and we were dating, and he was living in England. I was living in Barcelona. We met online, and I
Mm.
thought, not in a million years. I can't even go across the street. I'm in lockdown. Never mind go to a different country to meet this person. And we ended up talking on the phone for about 3 months. We made sure that we had that alignment. We discussed all of our desires. We discussed everything that we have in what's called a common vision. So we had the same boundaries, the same beliefs when it came to the relationship, the kind of life we wanted to have. And yeah, we met. We absolutely fell in love. Our story is featured on 3 different media platforms, which is really exciting. And it just goes to show the power of really having this relationship intelligence before you get into a relationship. A lot of people think that relationships are just based on love, that if I find someone I'm attracted to, they're funny, we both like tennis, we like going for picnics, we're going to live happily ever after the end. But we really made sure to have that common vision in line, that we have the same values, boundaries, and beliefs for the relationship. We're both walking in alignment towards the same goal.
Absolutely essential. I always work with my clients on those same things. Something you mentioned just now about the beliefs in particular.
Mm.
We are told so much nonsense when we grow up about relationships, aren't we? And what to expect. Women are sold the Disney dream about they're going to meet their Prince Charming, going to fly in on the flying carpet or meet them at midnight, and then men expect they have to go and do all weird and wonderful things to impress women. What lies do you see?
Everything that you just said and more. So we can have our happily ever after. I truly
Yeah.
believe that that's what I have. I have a relationship that makes me feel seen and heard and understood. My husband and I, we don't fight. We disagree sometimes. We have differences of opinion, but we never get to the point where that escalates into a fight. We show up for each other. We feel validated by each other. We make sure that we are on the same page when it comes to how we're living our life and how we're going about our day to day. And that leaves so much room for fun and excitement and play and creativity.
Mm.
So why couples are not having this is because they, one, believe that love is enough and love is all you need. It's sold to us, as you said, in the movies and the music.
Mm.
We truly want, that partner that we believe is our soulmate. And as long as we love them and they love us, then everything is going to be okay. Love is important. It is part of the equation, but the other part is relationship intelligence. How do we take that love and create a beautiful relationship out of it? And love is actually the easier of the two, because many of us have been in love more than once, but how many of us have had thriving relationships? That's the trickier part. So love is actually easy for humans. We are built to love. It's easy for us to connect and want to have that beautiful experience with someone. But where it goes wrong is that we think that that's the end all be all, and we don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to problem solve. We don't know how to show appreciation and understanding, come to agreements when it comes to what is and isn't fidelity and infidelity. All these nitty-gritty skills that we need to have in order to make our relationship successful.
Yeah, micro cheating, for example. That's something people do. What is the boundary on that? If you don't set the boundary or understand, then one person's liking someone on Instagram is someone else's affair, isn't it? In the same way. It
Absolutely.
is. I think I've got a really happy relationship with my wife, wonderful, but it's always a work in progress.
Mm.
It's not some magical thing that is always going to be perfect. We don't fight, but we can bicker. And but we know when we get to that stage, I think that's healthy in itself. You need to have healthy discussions, don't you, to move forward on it. And she usually wins, but we don't argue or fight or fall out with each other for hours. We will resolve it because we know how to do that. But not everyone's taught that, are they? They're not taught how to do it. So I imagine you teach people that.
Exactly. We need a formal education when it comes to relationships. We think that relationships are overly complicated because they involve emotions, and emotions are sticky and they're complicated. And so, they just are. And we're all sort of leading ourselves down the same path. We ask our friends, we ask our family, we see the movies and the music. We think fighting is normal. We think after you've been with your partner for 10 years, the intimacy is going to go out the window. We think my wife is always right. These sort of myths and concepts that have been going from generation to generation, not really
Mm.
understanding the science and the facts around relationships. We have studied relationships the same way we've studied, everything else in nature. So there are really concrete principles of what makes a successful relationship and what makes an unsuccessful relationship. And we can learn that the same way we learn math and science and history. So it's unfortunate that as adults, we just don't know how to do that. We don't know the importance of communication and how to communicate. Couples
Yeah.
come to me all the time and they're like, Riley, but we talk all the time. And I'm saying to them, you're talking, you're maybe fighting, but you're not necessarily communicating. Communication is a tool that we use to get what we want in the relationship. And we're always looking for a win-win scenario. Because if I win an argument and my husband loses, how is he going to feel? How is he going to show up? We're a team, so we both want to win. We both want to get what we want. And that requires us to practice active listening, brainstorming, and, coming up with ideas of how is this going to be a beautiful situation for both of us? How can we both win out of this situation so that we can both be happy and both be satisfied?
I tell all my clients that, the single ones. I said, well, we've got to play games all to win somebody over, and dating's a game. I said, well, dating is a game to some degree. It should be fun and playful, but the
Mm,
ultimate prize is each other. You're on the same side, and that
yeah.
is that you are united together, and that is the whole point. Everything you do should be to bring you together and to reconnect. Particularly if you've been together for a very, very long time, then
Mm.
it can become frustrating. But you've got to find a way to do that and make each other feel special. Now, for those listening that are struggling with this, with the whole concept of relationship intelligence, maybe they don't know where to start or what to do. How do you begin to do that?
Well, relationship intelligence requires you to really understand the idea of navigating your relationship. When you get into the relationship, as I said before, love is not enough. It's not the end all and be all. It's about
Yeah.
having these skills that allow you to navigate life's ups and downs. So we have problems in our relationship that are from the relationship itself or from life itself. So it could be
Hmm.
that we don't know how to communicate. That's a problem in the relationship, or we are not able to pay our rent. That's a problem outside of the relationship. And it's really about how do we navigate life's ups and downs, things that we perceive to be good or bad, and that requires certain tools. So there are 10 RI alignment codes, which are basic skills that couples need in order to navigate their relationship. There are things like communication, that common vision that we talked about, being able to problem solve, partnership, interdependence. So these are 10 skill sets that if you have them, you will have a thriving relationship. And if you don't, you're going to struggle. And it all comes down to if you're unhappy in your relationship or you're struggling to get into a relationship, you want to ask yourself which one of these pillars or which one of these pillars as a mix am I lacking and which one is causing me suffering? So if I'm dating and I'm looking for that partner and I'm so frustrated because I'm not finding someone I'm aligned with, I can go to those RI alignment codes and ask myself, am I communicating myself my desires? Am I communicating them well to this person? Because,
Mm.
dating can be a little bit messy if we're not clear about exactly what we want, exactly how to express that to this person that I'm now, talking to and getting to know. People have questions of, should I tell someone on the first date that I want to get married or not? Is that too soon? When do I tell this person that, I want kids or I don't want kids? How do we navigate the dating scene? How do we get into that situation where we feel like we are creating that alignment? And so when it comes to dating, it's really about asking yourself, how do I set myself up for success before even getting into the relationship? And again, it's learning these skills like communication, compromise, being able to problem solve. These are things that you want for yourself in your own life. And then these are things that you want to be able to express with other people.
I think compromise is underlooked and undervalued. People think, well, compromise means giving in to somebody else what they want, and it's not, because you're not fighting, are you? You have to, I think compromise is absolutely important. I don't allow my clients to settle just to meet anybody, but compromise is important because no one's perfect. You're always a work in progress when you do that. But you mentioned about alignment there as well. What was it about your partner that made you think, wow, this is the one? What did he do? Any tips anyone can learn that made you think, you know what, this guy is awesome?
Yes, there are a lot of incredible people out there. And we
Of
really
course.
we really want to understand that we can find someone who sort of ticks a lot of our boxes. So my husband, on the surface, I find him very attractive. I love his smile. I love his laugh. I love that he's into fitness and health and all of these great things. So that is sort of the first attraction that I had as I got to know him, because those are sort of the surface level obvious things. And then you want to get down into things that are more about the foundation, making sure that you create this common vision in your partnership. Do we share the same values, boundaries, and beliefs when it comes to the relationship? So, for example, what constitutes as cheating in the relationship? Do me and my partner agree? And a lot of times people think, well, cheating is this. And, I've seen so many social media accounts where people are like, this is cheating, 100%. And the thing about cheating is that it's whatever you believe it to be. Is it liking
Mm.
someone's post on Instagram? Is it being intimate with someone else? Is it having dinner with someone else? It truly depends on you, because we live in a world now where your relationship is whatever you want it to be. You get to create whatever you want to have. So there are no one size fits all. This is constituted as cheating. Cheating is simply going outside of those boundaries of your relationship, but those boundaries have to be set by you. So we realized as we went through, we wanted the same lifestyle. We wanted to have the same agreements on the boundaries of our relationship. We had the same idea when it came to how we wanted to show up for each other, how we wanted to communicate with one another. We had the same values when it came to respect and communication and understanding and, showing up our love and our affection every day. We were on the same page when it came to intimacy. So these really um, pivotal points in our relationship, we realized that we were compatible. You don't have to be the same person, right? And this is where interdependence comes in. I don't want to
Mm.
be in a relationship or marry my mirror, right? Like, how boring would that be if my partner had ever challenged me that didn't have, their own opinions, their own ideas? I would be bored to death. I don't want to be in a relationship with myself. So we do want some differences, and that's where interdependence comes in. It's saying, I am a whole person, my husband's a whole person, and then we have this entity of the couple. And when it comes down to the fundamental agreements in our relationship, the value system, we have to be on the same page. We have to be on the same page about what constitutes as cheating. We have to be on the same page about whether or not we're going to have children, because you can't have, half of a child. So you do need to agree on that, whether or not we're going to get married and not get married. So some things when it comes to the couple, the entity of the couple, we have to agree. And then other things we don't have to agree. We don't necessarily have to vote for the same person. We don't necessarily have to like the same music or have exactly the same activities in common. And we get to decide what is essential What are those non-negotiables? And then what are things that we are happy to be different in? So when it came to the foundation of our relationship and the value system that we had, we were the same. And then when it came to other things, like my husband loves skiing, he was a professional skier. I absolutely hate the cold, so I'll go once a year, but that's it. He's a sprinter. He loves sprinting. I'm like a professional, like speed walker, jogger kind of person. So again, we want to have differences to keep that stimulation and keep the relationship interesting, but we're not the same person at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I think it's the differences that can bring us together because
Mm.
it keeps things interesting, like you said, and we learn from each other. And who wants to have all the same interests and go to all the same places and do all the same things 24/7? Having your own interest in your own life away from that person is great because then you get a chance to miss them and you can reflect on it and you can discuss it. Perfect to have that. And I think the values are the foundation to anything, along with communication and boundaries, like you said, and similar life goals. You mentioned a couple of times about people that want to have children or not on a first date and what they really want. Do you think that they should mention that on a first date, or which point do they discover that the answer? When it's too late, maybe several dates in, when they've already built the attraction and you can't get away from it, or too quickly and you might scare them off.
Yeah, it really depends on the situation. It depends on what kind of first date you have. I personally recommend going for like a quick coffee date, the first date.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
did
All
date
right.
quite a bit before meeting my husband, for a few years. And I was that person that said, I just want to meet someone, see how, our energy is, see if I feel attracted to this person, if they're attracted to me. I just wanted to get in like a quick coffee chat so that I didn't have to have that, 2 hour long dinner just in case there wasn't a connection. So I did like a quick, half an hour coffee chat. And then if I felt a connection, they felt a connection, we would, extend it another day, another week to have that longer conversation. There's not a set rule, like you have to talk about children, you have to talk about marriage on the first date, or you can't talk about marriage or children on the first date. It really depends on the flow of the conversation. But I would say, before agreeing to be in a relationship, before deciding yourself that I want to be with this person, those are things you want to know.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, if you have one opinion, let's say that I do want to have children and I'm with this person that doesn't want to have children, it's not to say that it won't ever work out because we do see relationships where one person will change their mind. But going into that relationship, if we're not on the same page about the foundation of the relationship, I have to go into that knowing that this person has the right to never change their mind. And
Mm.
that person has to know that I have the right to never change my mind. And that may be something that breaks us somewhere down the line. And we can use the power of the relationship intelligence, the communication and the navigation to find common ground. But as I said, you can't have half of a child. So one of us is going to have to change their mind. So we do want to make sure that we're not putting too much pressure. We're not taking the fun out of dating because it should be fun. It should be something that we enjoy. But we also want to make sure that at the same time, we're doing our homework and we're making sure it's not just this person is funny and, they're handsome and stuff like that, but we actually are compatible. And as I said before, compatibility isn't just, oh, we both like tennis and, we want to live in Texas. It's about the values, the boundaries, and the beliefs of the relationship.
Completely agree. With that, you mentioned one of the words that has been my. I have two words of the year. One of them is energy, and you mentioned energy. To me, that is very, very topical at the moment. That's what we look for in a partner. It's energy. It's not about how old they are, where they're located. If you both vibrate at the same frequency, you're going to be attracted, and that can work absolute magic. So interesting that you said that because I complete agreement. But what about people out there that are struggling to meet someone in the first place? They've gone on the apps and they can't find anyone that they're aligned to. They meet people in real life and they're not doing it. And like I mentioned in the intro, they thinking it's always someone else getting married and never me. What do I do differently? How do you get that confidence, that inner hope to reignite?
I would say, in that moment where you feel I'm out here, I'm putting myself out here, and I'm not finding a match, I would
Mm,
look inward and
yeah.
say, how can I be a fulfilled person alone? Because that relationship with yourself always comes first. And
Hmm.
when you get really clear about who you are and what you stand for, and you have this beautiful relationship with yourself, you love your life, you will attract that right person. I do work with single people and, they see me and I'm married and they're like, Riley, how did you find your husband? You got so lucky. And I said to them, it wasn't until I truly learned to love myself and work on myself that I attracted this person. Because we can spend a lot of time dating. And if we're not really sure about who we are and what we want, we could be attracting people that are not aligned with us. And then we look at them and say, well, you were the problem, and that's when we kind of throw up our hands in extreme senses and say, there's no good men, there's no good women. We get to that point where we just get so frustrated. And it's really about looking inward and how can I attract that person? Because it may be that once you get into your best self, as I like to call it, your higher self, you may be in that energy where you're going to play basketball and that's your element because you're really healthy and you love sport and you love being outside, and that's where you're going to meet your person. Or
Mm.
it could be that you love to read and you're in a library and you meet someone who also, as you said, has that energy, and you meet that person. It's also about the way that you create, if you're dating online, the way that you create your profile, how you're being selective in the process of meeting someone. I know, the time that you can take swiping and it can be very daunting. But the question is, as you're swiping, what are you looking for? Are you looking for those deeper qualities? Or are you just looking for surface qualities? What are the requirements for you to have a coffee date with someone or to go to dinner with someone? Are you just sort of winging it, or do you have a plan? And again, this comes
Mm.
down to being able to navigate the dating process and navigate the relationship with a clear, confident way forward, and not just, going through it for hours and days and weeks without clarity.
With the dating apps, because you met your husband on the dating apps, which is great, and I think they absolutely can work. And what you're saying is very, very true. You should filter people out for the right reasons, but the apps don't always have profiles that display these things. You can't tell someone's values if they say all I like doing is going for a roast dinner and a walk on a Sunday, or I don't like bananas, for example. Someone rate. So what did you have in your profile that was so magnetic that your husband thought, wow, this person, other than the photographs, I can imagine. But beyond that, what did you have? Did you have anything special?
I did go a little bit deeper, and we tend to find that women go a little bit deeper
Yes.
than
Yeah.
men. So, men out there, if you're listening to this, one key to attracting the right person is to have a complete profile because you do want to use this as an opportunity to share a little bit more about yourself. Otherwise, women are just swiping you because of the way that you look. So, we want to put a little bit more information out there and show a bit of our personality, show a little bit about what we're looking for. I would say look at the app that you're using because not all apps are created equal. Some of them, as you said, they don't even give you the opportunity. They're just like, what is your favorite color? And so we're using these apps that don't even give us the opportunity to express ourselves. So firstly, I would question which apps are we using? And then, use the space that you have to try to bring some of that personality across, showing some of your values and your beliefs and what it is that you're looking for. And then, for me, when I was swiping and talking and things like that, I was very clear about what I was looking for. So some people are looking for hookups, some people are looking for marriage, some people are looking to date. So I would be very clear about, which path I'm on because I think all are valid as long as you're honest about it and you're clear.
Hmm.
And then I was very clear about my non-negotiables, what it was that I was looking for. And then as I was talking to my husband on the phone, he was actually very quick to get me on the phone. He's like, let's chat.
It's a great
Because
tactic. It works.
yes. And so, we got on the phone and we had a beautiful conversation. And as I said, we went into some of those deeper conversations. I love to talk. This is my profession to talk. And that goes in my personal life as well. So we started having these beautiful conversations that were getting down to the question of compatibility, but we did also keep it fun and light and playful at the same time.
I've lived it. I've been there. I understand. It works an absolute treat. I think talking on the phone really can help you connect with a partner, and beyond just texting on a screen. I don't have time to text on a screen. We do texting all the time, don't we? We just do all that on WhatsApp and emails. get a real connection than go and meet someone in real life.
Mm.
Wonderful advice there, Riley. Thank you so much. And it is great that you met your partner online. It just proves that this works. And I'm not going to name the app because they're not sponsoring us, are they? So it's an app I thought didn't really result in relationships, and it wasn't Tinder. So I'm pleased to hear that, which is great. I want to ask you a question that I ask everyone towards the end of each episode. And I may have warned you about this already or not, but the question is this. Do you have any daily habits or routines?
Absolutely. I am a routine girl. I love my routines because it keeps me organized and efficient. I also like spontaneity a little bit more on the weekends, but my day to day, Monday to Friday, is quite routine. I have about a 5 hour morning routine. I
Oh,
wake,
I'll sit back and listen.
I wake up at 4 a.m. every day,
4
and
a.m. Okay, right.
4 a.m. I do
It's
wake.
your routine. I'll be quiet. Sorry. Yeah.
It's my routine. I know people are like, I'm sorry, what did you say? I do wake up at 4 a.m. And the first thing I do is, brush my teeth and go to the bathroom and all those basic things. And then I head to the gym because when I go to the gym, that wakes me up. The music is loud, people are moving around. Surprisingly, there's a lot of people there already. So I don't feel too crazy. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And my husband and I work out for about an hour. We come home, we do meditation every single day because we exercise our bodies, but it's also important to exercise our minds. We do a bit of journaling, have breakfast, spend some quality time together, walk the dog, those basic things. But every day we make sure that we do the physical exercise and also the mental exercise to prepare us for the day. Something we don't do, a routine that we don't do, is we don't check our phones before we're dressed and ready for the day. So the 4 hour, 5 hour, depending on the day, morning routine comes with no checking the phone. We're not scrolling on social media. We're not checking emails because it's important that we build ourselves up for the day before we start falling into all of the requests that are coming in. And we also
Mm.
make sure that we spend that quality time together before we, spread ourselves thin for all the things that we have to do.
I love that. I love that you have time for that, which is incredible. I woke up 3 times in the night because different children woke up at different times, first of all. And I would love to have an hour meditation. I do go to the gym. That's great. That's become a bit of a routine for me. But I love that you do that meditation and you tie in the journaling and you do it with your husband. So it becomes a routine together.
Yeah.
And that's the foundation, like I said. And that's very, very powerful. What a great life you lead. I have to ask one question. What time do you go to bed if you get up at 4?
This is not so good. But typically we go to bed about 10, so we're like 6 hours of sleep.
Okay.
I don't recommend it. If you can get more, get more. Sleep is really important. But we're very healthy and we don't feel tired. So although I do think that we should be aiming for 7 or 8, it's working for us, the 6. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, the weather's been so hot here in the UK, hasn't it? And it's so light at night anyway. It's difficult to go to bed any earlier than 10.
Yeah,
But
it's
that's wonderful.
bright. Yeah.
It's bright. Ronnie, thank you so much. I would love to keep talking to you, but I appreciate you're very, very busy. So if someone wants to find out more about you, I will put the links in the notes. But how can they find you on social media or websites, for example?
I would say if you want to connect with me on Instagram. That's where I live. That's where my community is. So come over to Instagram, send me a DM, say hello. If you want to send me the word blueprint, I will send you a free masterclass explaining and showing you exactly how to create a thriving relationship, thriving life using the power of RI.
Amazing. I'm sure people will do that. Thank you so much, Riley. Absolute pleasure to talk to you. Hope we get to talk again soon. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.